List Night is back in your life. My name is Griffin Queen, and despite the advice of legal and medical professionals, I am still the host of this dumb, chaotic show. I'm joined today by my much funnier friends, Andrew Simon, Matt Modi, and Thomas Albert. Before we get into the episode itself, our usual items. All of our social media profiles, aka your ways to support the show, will be linked in the description. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate and review. If you're watching us on YouTube, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share us with your favorite and your least favorite people coming up on MLK Day. So celebrate that by sharing this with your friends. That's a great way to celebrate the holiday. Nothing really else before we get into it. I will introduce the topic in a little bit, but first, got to check in with the rest of the List Night crew. Thomas, what's going on in your life, buddy? I think the pretty big weekend for you.
Nothing screams MLK Day like 4 white dudes on a podcast.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
True.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
we're bringing it to the masses.
Erin's away on her bachelorette, having a much more fun time than I will this weekend. That's
Kind of
literally
fucked up.
about it. It's cold in Maryland, and that's it. Nothing good. Go Birds.
Yes.
All right,
go
so
Birds.
your wife is having the best time ever, and you're having a terrible time with 3 of your good friends. So that's a bummer, I guess.
Yeah, I want 4.
Modi, how you living?
I'm good. I feel like that's how it should go. You're miserable without your partner in town. I think that's the story. That's the story here. I'm doing well. Yeah, go Birds. Ready for another Eagles playoff game. That's like I'm sure Thomas, you've seen it. The meme that's like, oh, I'm excited for the Eagles game, and then it's like, I'm going to kill myself, and it's like, oh, nice, we won. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not just an Eagles thing. It's every team, but that's how I feel when I watch them. I'm like, it's the most miserable experience. Like, oh, they won by 12, and they like could have won by more than that if Saquon didn't slide. So yeah, I actually doing a guys trip in Harpers Ferry this weekend, so pretty pumped for that. We do one every MLK Day. Nothing like 4 white guys on the podcast. Nothing like 4 white guys going on a guy trip every MLK weekend. That's how we celebrate.
You legit do a guys trip on MLK Day every year?
Yep.
That's awesome. That's so great. I didn't know that when I made that joke earlier, but apparently you're the MLK guy.
Well,
We're
we
all the
wanted to-
MLK guy.
Like my friends are having kids and shit, and we were like I lived in Denver, Dunlo lived in Texas. We were like, all right, let's just get like one weekend on the calendar where we like, it's like, okay, this is the year or weekend we hang out every year. And they weren't going to commit to an actual 3-day weekend like Memorial Day or Labor Day. So we're like, all right, what's like a day where people have off, but it's not as important in terms of like travel and stuff. It's a very important holiday. Let me be very clear. It's like, it's not a travel weekend normally. So that's where we ended on MLK. I'm going to shut up now before I really get myself canceled. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm good. Just 4 white guys on a podcast, and you guys are forgetting it's not just MLK weekend, but it's also Trump inauguration 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Boy, is it.
That's more fitting for 4 white guys on a podcast.
I'm glad that was nobody's best reboot.
Yeah.
Didn't even think of that. That's a really good pick, and not for us for obvious reasons, or maybe less obvious reasons. But that would have been a really good pick. That could have been a winning pick. Maybe
Never.
next.
Let's like go with the OG Grover Cleveland, the only other president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. So
Are you bummed to lose out on that fun fact, Andrew? Because I feel like that was like one of your
yeah, that's why I lived
maybe
in Cleveland.
preferred fun facts.
Yeah, that's why I lived in Cleveland Park, because I love Grover Cleveland. Yet again, Trump ruins everything. So here we go.
Teaching people about daylight time versus standard time and about our only non-consecutive president before Trump is really Andrew's entire personality. Modi, I appreciate that you and your buddies schedule a particular weekend every year and you lock in a specific weekend. There was a point in the friendship between Thomas, Andrew, and a few other guys and I where we were going on vacations 4 times a year together, which
It's awesome.
it's awesome. It's awesome. It raised a lot of questions with a lot of the women in our lives.
They thought we were banging.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually,
It's a pretty understandable conclusion to jump to.
To be fair,
Yeah,
we never denied it.
still have it.
If you deny it, then it's all the more likely that it's actually happening.
Yeah, the Dallas protest too much.
Exactly. Okay, let's get into it a little bit. Our topic this week is best excuses to cancel plans, and I want to say that a second time just to make sure that Thomas fully understands what the topic was this week. This week we had some trouble. It's best excuses to cancel plans, and if I'm misreading that, that's on me at this point. Our order is going to be a reverse of what we had last week. So it's going to go Thomas first, then Modai, then myself, and then Andrew. Not anything particularly complicated. This is not a snake draft. You can pick the same thing that somebody else has picked if you guys both arrived at that conclusion independently. Once we go through our number 5 picks, we will then all go through our number 4 picks, 3 picks, all the way to 1. And then we will recap at the end of the episode. We'll also save a little bit of time, either in this episode or potentially in an additional clip, where we will go through some of our honorable mentions. If we have any honorable mentions, entirely possible that we will not. So if we don't, and you're anxiously awaiting an additional clip of those, you might be waiting a long time. I think we can get into it. Thomas, you're going to kick us off. Let's do it.
Number 5 is simple. It's obvious. It's easy. I don't do. I don't want to do something. I'm going to tell you I don't want to do it, and we're not going to do it. Or I'm not going to do it. Nothing else needs to be said.
I like it. I mean, I feel like we're at that age where, like, if I don't want to do something, I'm just not going to do it. That was going to be my number 5, but I was like, I can find something a little more interesting than that. I don't disagree with the pick because, yeah, I mean, at this age, I don't have any reason to do something that I don't want to do unless my wife wants me to do it, and I probably wouldn't marry her if she was constantly making me do stuff that I didn't want to do. So, yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
But before I comment on this pick, Thomas, let me just clarify at the front, like, is this all 5 of your picks? Is it all the same?
No.
Same one? Okay.
We will get ahead of this
Because I expected this to be your number 1. I respect it. I'm still not there a lot of the times where I feel comfortable saying to someone's face, like, I don't feel like it. And maybe that's a resolution for this year, is become more comfortable with that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do plenty of things I don't want to do, but there are some things that if I don't want to do it, I'll just tell you I don't want to do it.
You don't do. I'm with Andrew on this. I thought this was going to be your number 1 pick. I thought that was kind of like a shoe-in for a number 1 pick. So it is good to hear that you're not doing this as a bit, though, where it's not going to be your next 4 picks as well. Look, I'm with you on this one. I think I'm probably a little bit better than Andrew at saying no to things, because I can always just be like, oh, well, I'm depressed. And then people will be like, oh, okay, you don't have to do it. But right, that's not the actual excuse. I don't want to do it, so I just use that to escape things. But and I think to some degree, Thomas, you might too. Good pick. I like it. I like how independent you make yourself seem. It's not accurate, but I like how you make yourself seem.
It's all about how we portray ourselves.
It's for show.
Yeah.
Matt?
Cool. Yeah, my first pick, like I said, it was going to be I don't feel like it, but my actual first pick, too tired. I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. I in my 30s and even in my 20s and even in my late teens, I really had a very strict with my bedtime. That was like, it's like the ongoing joke with me and all my friend group was like that I'm the one that's first to bed. And now that like I'm 30, I don't think I need a better excuse than I'm too tired. You know, if I get a bad night of sleep, I'm grumpy. I don't feel well. I need my sleep, and I'm a bad sleeper. So getting extra sleep is even more important. And I'm just not a fun person to be around if I don't have enough sleep. So sometimes I'm just too tired to hang out.
Yeah, this is not one I can get behind. I'm sorry. I fully get that this is for you, and I give you all the credit in the world for this one. I would never be able to use this excuse for myself, because people would be like, that's just not true. Like, you're not going to be going to sleep. You don't have a normal bedtime. You're a stupid person who stays up until 4 a.m.
The gym at like 1 a.m.
Well, that was a former life. That was, I mean, I guess I did do that a little bit last year, but that was more college Griff. In his mid-30s, Griff, I just watch anime at 1 a.m, which is way less exciting. I'm glad you're looking out for your sleep, but tough to know, because you use this excuse to kind of bail on the chat most nights.
Most nights I'm actually asleep. I have a very early bedtime. I like it. That's not a joke.
No, it's fine. I'm just going to go through and look through our entire relationship leading up to this and see how many times you were making excuses to stop talking in the group chat.
Well, sometimes it's not an excuse. Sometimes I am just too tired.
Whatever, Modai.
I fully support this. I wish I stuck to a strict bedtime more often. I often think I can still get by with less sleep than I can now that I'm older, because I totally get this. Sometimes I'm just too tired, and then I'm just grumpy doing the thing when I should have just not done the thing.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with this one. Some call me the early to bed, late to rise guy. I'm all about that sleep. Pull it out. It might be catching on. Yeah, no, good pick.
I guess now that it's recorded in the show, people may call you that, and you of the past has said that. So
Yeah, it's like picking your own nickname.
some people may call you that.
So might.
Yeah, picking your own nickname, very much so. All right, I guess I'm wrong on that one. You guys like your early bedtimes, and you like deceiving your friends with them. My number 5, very much keeping in the theme of what we're doing right now. I have to record a podcast. Is it my job? Is it my hobby? No one cares enough to want to find out. Our viewership numbers reflect that. If they ask how to watch because they're somehow interested, you throw a bunch of like social media links and details their way, and immediately they're no longer interested in what you have going on. They don't want to hang out with you at that point. You are fully absolved from hanging out.
So basically, you just give your like the preamble that you say at the start of this show in person to someone, and they just tune out. They're just like,
yeah, which is why it's crazy that I rewrite that every week, because I could just keep doing the same thing. I should just record one and do that, but that would make too much sense.
That would be a good idea.
Way too much sense.
Yeah, I do think at first people were like, "Oh, that's cool," but then they're just doing it to be polite, and then they realize like, "Oh, you're not like paid really to do a podcast. You're just like, you just don't want to hang out."
Just some weirdo.
Just some weirdo.
But is this just having other plans? Because like you have
What do
a
you mean?
plan, like you have a plan to record a podcast. So like your excuse is just that.
I could not be recording a podcast at that time. I've just at this point, I have cultivated enough of the idea that like Griffin's into podcasts, even though I don't really listen to podcasts, which I guess is a bit ironic, that at any point I could be like, oh, I've got to record tonight. And then people are like, oh yeah, I guess Griffin's gonna do that. Maybe he makes sponsorship money. He does not. I'm actually burning this as an excuse.
And now people,
They're not listening to it. That's the best part of it. They're not listening. No one's going to not hang out with me and then be like, you know what I could have done tonight instead? Listen to Griffin's podcast.
it's a fair point.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's a fine pick, I guess. I don't use it myself, but
Yeah, me neither. Even if anyone had the best excuse to do it, it would be me, but I don't.
It is like your literal job. You should use it.
Yeah, yeah.
And people think that you're just saying you're working, and then it becomes kind of a bad excuse a little bit.
For me, it's just work. And also, I feel like, no offense to you and what we're doing, but you sound like sounds like such a loser, and like, I gotta go pod. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to hang out, but the pod is calling me. I just feel like you sound like such a loser. Like, people ask what I do for a living. I do not use the words content creator because I'm like,
Goal is to make sure they stop inviting me to do things.
Right.
That is, it's an excuse that starts today and lasts forever.
no, that's right. You should just say the pod is calling.
I don't want to call it the pod. I hate calling it the pod. I don't even really call it a podcast very often. I say it's a show because that sounds somehow more legitimate.
I'm in a business meeting.
Yeah, the only time I really use the podcast as an excuse to get out of plans is for my actual job. I'll be like, I got to cut out of work early because I gotta go.
I gotta have pod.
Like while you're on like a meeting, or like you're
Yeah.
telling like your fiance that.
I can't wait for next episode when Andrew is unemployed because he keeps leaving the pod.
Worth it. All right, it's a pick, Griffin. Okay, my number 5, and it's maybe it's because I live in an apartment and I am not what I would consider a handyman, but waiting for the maintenance guy to arrive. People don't know, all the shit that might be going wrong in your house or apartment, and maintenance guys have notoriously weird schedules, and like they give you, notoriously generic windows of time that they may or may not arrive. So having to be home for that, I think, is a solid excuse.
That's a great excuse. You just have to be ready to have an answer because someone is going to ask what's going on. Like, oh, cool, what's going on? And you have to be ready for that.
Oh,
That's the only thing. It's a great excuse. You just got to be prepared.
Oh yeah, sink won't drain, dishwasher broken. I got a bunch. Don't.
That's when one of your notepads in your phone is just a list of appliances.
Yes.
It's like a Mad Libs of whatever's broken.
I mean, I think that's a fine pick. I mean, and you could use it in a cable guy, electrician, like whatever. Didn't think of it myself. Not a bad pick.
There's a certain point though where people are going to start thinking that porn is being filmed at your apartment. If you continue to make up excuses for why random men are arriving at your house for indiscriminate amount of time, they're going to either think that you are in porn or that you have rented out your home for porn, which if that's what you want to do, that's good. It's a fiscally responsible choice. I'm just saying that is the conclusion that people will almost inevitably draw.
don't spoil the rest of my picks because the rest of them are I'm coming bored at my house.
Or
With
cleaning
the
up
maintenance
after.
guy, with the mechanic,
maintenance guy,
with the cleaner.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, that's a good one.
I mean, look, great pick. Honestly, great pick.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. That was good.
Back to me. Number 4. This is one where you're not going to get questions, so that's how you want it. Number 4 is I've shit my pants. No questions? Perfect. I'm not coming. That's all you need to know.
I have a lot of questions. I want to be clear about that. I actually have so
Plenty
many
of
more questions than I did. This one that you have used recently, or is this more of a general pick that you think would work successfully?
What you said was best excuses to get out of plans, not excuses we've used.
Yeah, no, I
I
understand.
listen.
Yeah, no, I know you've used this one.
I don't want to comment on this pick because we'll talk in more detail later. I'm just saying my 5 picks are picks that I have used in my life.
Yeah. Have I shit my pants? Yeah. Have I used it as an excuse? No. But like, if someone was like, "Hey, we're going to do this," and I'm like, "Oh, I shit my pants," they're gonna be like, "Okay, don't come."
So
I hang out with you.
my follow-up question, I guess, and then I'll go to Andrew after that. My follow-up question: you shit your pants, but you have not used it as an excuse. Do you mean that, like, as a child you shit your pants, or like you shit your pants again? I'm asking recently, and then you were like, "Oh, I shit my pants. Let's do it. Let's go do something." Like, please clarify.
Define recently.
That's all we needed to know.
Follow it?
Are you talking about like, am I shitting my pants? Like, is there a whole log in there? No.
I think when people shit their pants, is there ever a log in there? I feel like it's got to be something a little bit juicier than that.
I feel like I made.
I don't want to get into this, honestly. I'm retracting my questions. I'm putting them back in.
The point was to not get questions.
No more questions. Yeah, you're right. This raised a lot of questions for me.
This pick is something, but I guess the only thing I'm confused about is like if someone asks you to do something and you're like, I just shit my pants, they're like, okay, but what we're asking you to do is in like 4 hours. Like you can't clean up in that time.
He might still be shitting his pants.
Andrew asked me, "I'm gonna go get a drink."
Nah. You want to go get a drink?
I shit my pants, and now I'm gonna sit in the corner and shame myself for the next 4 hours, so I can't go.
Yeah, true. I don't want to get a drink anymore. Good excuse.
Yeah, much like the podcast and calling it a pod thing. I feel like if you tell people just straight up that you shit your pants in the middle of the day, they're less inclined to invite you to things going forward. So this is both excusing you from plans today and excusing you from plans forever.
Win-win.
All right.
Win-win. Yeah, I do agree that the goal of canceling plans is to not get follow-up questions. So I think that's a good pick. Mine is you can't go because a sports game of your favorite team is on. I've used this excuse countless times. Sometimes I was planning to make that excuse. Sometimes I didn't realize at the time, or sometimes the team was playing, but I didn't want to do that plan. So I used them as an excuse. You know, one time, I forget what it was, but I was like, I'd love to come hang out, even though I didn't, but the Sixers were playing. Even though I hate the Sixers with all my heart, that person knows that I'm a Philly sports fan. They're like, okay, yeah, I guess that's just Matt.
Yeah, that was going to be my question is, do you like lie and be like, hey, the Eagles are playing and just hope that they aren't aware of the NFL schedule?
Or the internet?
Yeah. Or part 2 of the question is, do you just use like random sports teams that you're not actually a fan of? And that way you can have just endless excuses.
Good questions. No, I won't lie. If there's no game, then I won't use that as an excuse. And no, I won't use like a random team. I'm like Saturday morning. Yeah, there's Saturday morning soccer, so I can't get brunch because I'm really into the English Premier League. No, it's only for a team that I actually care about, and it's only when they actually have a game. So it's like July. Yeah, no, the Eagles huge game tonight. Can't make it. Sorry.
Renowned EPL guy. Yeah, I mean that's Andrew hit my second question was going to be like, do you just if there's a game on that you don't actually care about, you'd be like, oh God, the Thunder are playing the Hornets tonight. Like, I can't leave my house. I'm tied to my TV.
Yeah. No, it's got to be an important game that I actually care about, or it just has to exist of the team that I care about.
For me, like, we'll miss most games and survive. If I'm able to watch it, I'm able to watch it. Now, this time of year, playoffs is different. I schedule things around the games. So, like, it's a fine excuse. I think it depends on the person, because if I said it, like, if Aaron wanted to go do something and I'm like, Eagles on, she'd be like, we can watch it. it's not a bad pick.
Just a suggestion to circle back to Andrew's point. You might want to acquire additional teams to
true.
have a rooting interest for, particularly as life continues to get busier and busier. Like, you might be able to knock off every day of the week if you really want to. The Eagles can only play so often. Granted, when summer gets here, spring through October, the Phillies are probably going to play almost every single day. Like, you're going to be all right.
And that's what I was going to say. Like between the Phillies, Sixers, and the Eagles, you got most days covered because like right when baseball ends, guess what? That's when basketball starts. And then I also could use like Monday night, Thursday night football. It doesn't necessarily have to be an Eagles game, but sometimes primetime games I just want to watch. But yeah, if there's no team on, I'll just go to a different excuse. I'll go to my top 5 and I'll say, okay, I can't use number 4, and I'll go to another one.
Think of a Thursday night game that wasn't the Eagles that you cared about watching.
There's some decent Thursday night football games this year. Before Tua got hurt, Bills Dolphins was a decent game.
Thursday night at night, I'm sleeping. Come on.
We are also talking about somebody whose career is based around sports and sports media and sports betting. So I have a different reaction to this question than the average person.
I thought he was a pod guy.
He's a show guy. We're on a show.
All right.
It's a fair pick. I think it's a relatable pick.
It is a relatable pick. I've done this. All right. Am I next? Yeah, I'm next. My number 4. My parents are going through a divorce. Doesn't matter if they are or not. Doesn't matter if they're already divorced. Who's going to ask follow-up questions? Okay, yes, mine are. Generally, not every set of parents are divorced. Actually, everyone else on this show, not divorced. But you could tell people that they are going through a divorce. Doesn't need to be true. Doesn't even need to actually end up happening. It could. One in 2 marriages. But, it's an option. No one's going to ask you follow-up questions about your parents' marriage. Like, they're just not. I know this for a fact.
They're not going to ask follow-up questions, but are they going to, like, how do you cancel plans with this without giving more information? Like, if you were like, hey, let's hang out, and I was like, my parents are going through a divorce, you'd be like, okay, come hang out or talk about it.
Nah, people aren't going to want to hang out with the kid who's going to talk about their parents' divorce. You already have put yourself out there emotionally in a way that they don't want to be receptive to. So they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. See you later.
See, I think
I lived this. I know it.
See, I feel like they're going to be like, well, this is why they're getting divorced, because you never leave the fucking house. Like, you won't leave.
It is usually, almost always, the child's fault for the parents' divorce. That's something that I learned during divorce.
Well, my issue with this pick is you can only use it once. Like, how many times are your parents going through? Like, is it just impacting you?
But that's the best part. There doesn't matter if they are divorced, if they have recently separated, if they're struggling with marriage or what. They could still be going through a divorce. They're not divorced. They're going through a divorce.
I think there's an expiration date on it because you can only use it so many times before it's no longer an excuse. Like, I'm
17 years deep, baby. I can keep this going forever.
No, I'm just like, it becomes very obvious that you're avoiding plans.
Yeah, see that, and the whole point of the best excuse for canceling plans is so it's not obvious that you're trying to cancel the plans.
Is that true? I think it's just something that's going to get you out of plans. I don't know if it necessarily needs to hide that I'm trying to avoid these plans.
It depends if you want the relationship to survive.
Yeah. If you still want to be friends with that person, you just don't want to do that thing that night, then yeah, because
I've already told them that I have a podcast. They don't want to be friends with me anymore.
You're really putting nails.
One of you shit yourselves.
One of us.
Yeah. One of us.
Well, actually, on that note, my number 4 is sort of having to do with shitting myself, but not just randomly. I just had graphic illness. Like, yes, you could be like, I have a cold, I'm feeling under the weather, but to me, that's boring. Like, get into the details. Like, give them more details than they want. I have diarrhea. I've been throwing up all night, and keep going. Like, when they try to be like, okay, stop. Like, keep giving them more.
No, seriously.
But yeah, you wouldn't believe, and then send pictures.
I mean, it's fair. You're right. Saying I have a cold, boring, overdone. Give them something real. I mean, it's fine. It's a good excuse, being sick, especially this day and age where people actually take it more seriously about getting other people sick.
Also true.
Some people.
People you want to hang out with do.
I understand the topic is best excuses to cancel plans, and I've already also gone off the reservation on this one. This feels more like it's best excuses to end friendships and turn people against you. Getting
Not
really
mad at
into the
anybody.
graphic nature of your illness and not stopping when people are uninterested in it, for me personally, would be deeply upsetting.
You would end our friendship just because I shared a little bit too much about my illness?
No, because my bench is incredibly shallow and I can't lose more people. But somebody with a deeper bench than me, I think they'd consider it.
People with deeper benches than you are not friends with me. So I'm fine.
All right,
I was
that's a
gonna
good
say,
point.
If someone wants to ruin a friendship over me telling them too much about my bodily functions, I'm not sure I want to be friends with that person in the first place.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. And it
How
might
about
come up
empathy?
later in this show.
Type person doesn't find farts funny, and if you don't find farts funny, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't want to be friends with you. Yeah.
I see. It's interesting you said. I feel like we talked about this on a previous episode that
Yeah.
I don't find farts all that funny.
But when you do,
I don't find them not funny. I just, I'm
How do
Timing.
pick somebody? How do
Yeah.
the button?
We're not
leave studio and you can act
we're not into highbrow comedy, Professor.
like a divorce.
Do you think it has to do with our parents?
I think it might, honestly. Not honestly, but I do think it might.
I'll give my number 3 now. This
yeah.
is not one that I don't think I'll ever be able to use, and I don't think any of you will ever be able to use it. But I feel like it's just a really good excuse to get out of most things. That's I'm pregnant.
Well, could be like we're pregnant, you know?
See? That's good, but I think the best version is I'm pregnant.
If we use that
That's-
excuse,
I'm not using it. I'm not using it.
there'd be too many follow-up questions.
Mine's America, baby. I don't know. Maybe there are no follow-up questions.
The best excuse is to be able to say I'm pregnant, because then it's like, oh, I'm not going to make you do anything. Best excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like this pick. It's a good pick. I don't think I would ever fault a pregnant lady for saying no to literally anything. So,
Yeah.
and you can't really do it as much as you might want to.
But after she has that
Yeah.
kid, she better be fun again, or she's out of
Yeah.
here.
Get
Yeah.
right back in shape too.
I guess my only follow up there. It's a good pick. I think it's a good pick, not for you, obviously, in a specific way, but as a general pick for half the population, it's a good pick. Are you at all concerned that it would encourage them to change their plans to go do something with you, or to try and take care of you, or to help you out? Is there at all a fear that this actually might force you to be more social?
That's a very good point. I think you could just say, and this would bring in some previous picks. I'm pregnant. I'm just too tired.
And
I'm
I have shit
pregnant.
myself.
I'm pregnant. I got morning sickness. I can describe it to you and send you pictures. I'm pregnant. My parents are going through a divorce.
I'm pregnant. Oh, a divorce. That would be.
I think if they
a
try
tough
to
one.
change plans, you just add on a previous excuse.
So it's a really good modifier. It's a great modifier pick. You're pregnant and you're something else where, they can't bail on the friendship. They can't bail on the friendship at that point because that makes them a shithead. But you can add in the other things that you also like, and they kind of just have to deal with
My parents are getting a divorce because I got pregnant. And
it. I don't love the implications surrounding that, so I'm going to move on.
Or the maintenance man is coming over again and I'm pregnant and he might be the father.
Hey,
It's going to come tomorrow and the following day. And we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Again, too much information from Andrew.
all right.
All right, mine is definitely going to be too much information, and I have used this excuse before. I want to stay home and masturbate. Go out. I want to stay home and masturbate. I don't want to go out. And I used this excuse one time. My cousin, when I lived in Denver, was hanging out with his friends and was like, "Oh, you should come meet up at this bar." And I really wanted to go, and I was planning on going. Happened to be the first day that my now wife was out of town, so I was like, I would come and hang out with your friends, but I just want to stay home and jerk off. And he was like, "I get it," and nobody asked any fault. It just was what it was.
I really appreciate you being on this show, Modai, because up until now, for the 4 years or whatever that we've existed, I've been the masturbation guy. I've been the porn guy. I've been the weird shut-in who, for some reason, a woman has fallen in love with guy. And now, not that I'm not that guy anymore, but I feel like I have a blood brother who has joined me on this, who's also busy for the same reasons that I might be busy. It's a great pick. I would not say it necessarily, but I also don't think I would need to. I think it's a reasonable enough assumption from people in my life that they just won't ask me to do things, particularly if my partner's out of town. But it's a good one. And it's one that will definitely get you out of future plans because of how forthcoming you are.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, yeah, the lack of shame is really what I think will drive people away. But like, yeah, I mean, if any man is home alone for any period of time, I assume that they're masturbating. So like,
That's a safe,
I wouldn't feel the need to like say it. I would just be like, I would use one of the other excuses. I'm tired.
One can assume.
And one could assume that if nobody else was home, that,
it's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see myself saying it, but if you were to use that excuse with me, I'd be like, yeah, no follow-up questions. You have your good time, I'm gonna have my good time. No follow-up.
Incredible pick. It's a good pick. I feel good about this one. I have no follow-up questions to this one because none are needed.
Let me just say this is a timely pick considering all three of our kids are in Florida. Okay, that's enough. I've dug myself
because
enough.
right before we were starting on,
I'll be right back.
You got to make sure that your emotions are balanced before you get on the show. It is what it is. Good stuff. All right. My number 3. This is a very broad one, and you can customize it as you need. Sorry, I'm just really struggling, and I need some time to myself. The example that I put was, sorry, I'm just really struggling with the war. Make sure you put a lot of emphasis on the war, capital T, capital W, because it keeps it vague, but it also lets them fill in which one you're talking about based on whatever their personal preferences. And bonus points if you eventually get to ask them at a later date if they fuck with the war. But you can use it for anything, emotional upheaval, famine in Africa or in South America or in the worst cities in America. Like you can say, I'm just really struggling. And it can really be used for anything that could be bad. And they're going to give you your space because for some reason, our generation cares a ton about mental and emotional health.
I have one later that's a little similar to this, sort of, but I'm a little confused why you were using air quotes for the war. Is that how you would say it? Like, is it a pretend war or just like, and you say, I'm really struggling with the war, so I can't hang out.
Not do that.
You're just gonna
not do that. Because yeah. At this point, they would think I'm masturbating. You're right. I'm going to war with myself.
Is this not just your number 4? Sorry, I'm struggling with my parents' divorce.
good point.
No, that's my parents are
great
going
war.
through divorce. I never said I'm struggling with it. They're just going through it.
I'm struggling with the war that is my parents' divorce.
That's true. So at this point, 3 and 4 have modified one another, much like shitting and masturbating or whatever the previous modifications were. Look, all of these excuses should be able to have some sort of synergy, and we'll circle back to many of them.
I guess my last question is, do you fuck with the war?
I fuck with the war.
We figured it. All right. My number 3 is that just tell people that you're jet lagged. They don't need to know where you were. You could have been in many different time zones. There's like 24 of them. So you clearly are jet lagged. And I guess that's the same as being tired, but it's a different, jet lagged is like a beyond tired excuse.
I just feel like 2 of yours are demanding questions, follow-up questions, and then 1 of yours, graphic illness, is clearly going on so you don't get questions. Like, if someone's like, I'm jet lagged, the polite thing to do is like, where were you? Like, I don't care. Don't care.
You could not sound more like you do not care.
No, I don't care. But I have to be polite and say, oh, where were you? And then you like,
Andrew hasn't actually even traveled anywhere, and you already don't care.
See, that's if they follow up, then I would just be like, I went for a walk. I walked east, so the time change, the sunset change, really threw me off.
Why don't you just flip them off and say, fuck you, I don't want to hang out? That's what you're doing.
That is what I'm doing, but again, I'm too much of a pussy to do that.
Yeah, I do.
I respect that you know yourself.
Well, I feel like if you say you're jet lagged, like if someone tells you they're jet lagged, it's like they're asking for someone to ask them where they were. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this person wants to brag because they were just out of town and like probably went somewhere cool.
Well, to that point, like maybe it, if you use it enough, you become such like a unbearably like braggadocious person about your travels that people don't want to talk to you anymore at all.
This one compounds on itself and it
Yeah.
actually gets stronger over time.
Yes, it does.
You become your group's travel guy, and nobody wants to fucking talk to the travel guy all the time because they wish they were traveling, not you.
It's like Griffin's the pod guy. No one wants to ask him to hang out anymore.
I'm the show guy. I'm the divorce.
I don't know if it's a 3, but it's a fair enough pick.
I think it's good. I think it's not a bad pick. It's actually yeah. Middling. It is a 3. I disagree with Thomas.
My number 2 is going to resonate with many of our generation because we are weirdly, you get it. My dog has been left at home alone. Our generation is very obsessed with being parents to our dogs and our pets. And granted, I do this sometimes when I'm like, hey, it's been like 6 hours. My dog gotta pee. But I think it's just such a good excuse because everyone's like, totally go deal with your dog. Like, do your thing.
2 things. Number 1, I feel like that's an excuse to leave plans. Like you're currently in the middle of plans and you want to go home. And you're like, yeah, no, I've left my dog. It's been at least a half hour. I gotta get out of here. And I'll just get ahead of it. My number 2 is anything dog related. You tell me something about your dog, I will say totally cool. It could be like, I miss my dog, or my dog looked at me and looked sad and I didn't want to leave the house. I'd be like, you know what? I totally understand. There is nothing anybody can tell me dog related where I would be like, oh, that's you should still probably come. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, anything dog related. That's my number 2. So yeah, we can just combine them together.
I think you're right. I think my wording is like, if we're already out and there's secondary plans coming, and then I can hit you with dog's been home alone. But you're right. Yeah, dog related. I'm not questioning you. You go do your thing. Take care of the pups.
Yeah, it's a fantastic pick. Only reason it didn't make my list was because I thought for me personally, and it shouldn't only be about a list that works for me, obviously, but I didn't put it on because I use it so often as an excuse that I imagine it has lost a lot of its luster and a lot of its power over people, where at some point they're just like, your dogs are fine. You've been gone for 45 minutes. You're allowed to stop nervously pacing around the bar. To the point you made about us treating our dogs like our kids, it's very much a generational thing. And I'm sure many people have probably talked about it at length. And there's probably a lot of reasons for why this is the case. Having kids later, our financial status compared to previous generations, greater empathy in our generation compared to previous generations for various reasons. There's a lot that kind of is why this works so well. But it really, really, truly is a great excuse. And I have no like this could be your number 1, and I think I would absolutely agree with it. Like it works. It's a permanent workable excuse. Anybody who gets weird about it is just kind of being a dickhead.
Yeah, no, it's a good excuse. And then to the point of like, people our age treat dogs like kids. It's a generational thing. I feel like it's also a generational thing for the dogs right now because most dogs, I would say right now, are COVID dogs.
It's true.
They at least. Probably half the dogs right now grew up in their puppy phase of like their owner never leaving the house. So I think there's more anxious dogs right now.
I think that's very accurate as someone with a very anxious dog.
Yeah. I have one unintentional COVID dog and one intentional COVID dog.
I was just
good pick, Tom.
Great, really, really, really good pick.
Good pick, Tom.
Great pick for both of you. Mona, do you have anything you want to add, or you just want to call it Gucci on that one?
Oh yeah, no, everything's been said. Anything dog related, it's good enough to get out of a plan.
Hot dog.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, Andrew, hot dog.
Actually, I was muted. I said my hot dog has been left at home too long.
It misses you. It craves your.
It actually worked for you based on that one episode.
My number 2, this is not one I've done. This is one that I am terrified to do because I don't think that I have the lying ability to make it work. But make up a fake religion and do things associated with that fake religion. This is a broad one. There's a lot going on here. But you want to hang on a Wednesday? Too bad that's insert religion name here. That's their holy nights. You can't hang out on a Wednesday. Oh, you want to hang out on a Thursday? Actually, we do things for 48 hours and I have to stay home and shut all my lights off. And I'm sorry, I can't go out tonight. They want to grab dinner. Your religion only eats lunch. If they object or they call you a liar or something like that, then you get to call them a bigot. And if you don't like them that much, you also get to end the relationship. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like that's a win that it makes you seem like a person that nobody wants to hang out with. but also nobody wants to ask any follow-up questions. Someone's gonna be like, oh, like tell me more about your religion that I definitely care a lot about. So it's a good excuse in that regard, but it's also it is also a good excuse if you're trying to also never hang out with that person again. If you someone that you want to be friends with, then it's not a good excuse. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and this definitely falls under that category of you're not only avoiding plans, you're just ending. You're trying to end.
Yeah, my only beef with this one is it seems like a lot of work. Like you got to have like, I mean, I get what you're saying that you could basically just use it for anything. Like can't eat lunch, can't eat breakfast, whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like if anyone calls you out, you got to have like an alibi.
I'll break kayfabe a little bit. My inspiration for this one was Jehovah's Witnesses and them like not having holidays and not being able to celebrate certain things. Like they can't celebrate their birthdays, whatever, right? And I don't think they're technically supposed to celebrate other birthdays, like other people's. So I don't look. I'm sure there's a lot of religions out there. I'm not going to dive deep into my feelings on any of them, but you can kind of say whatever you want and call it a religion, and people might think it's a cult, but like, what are they going to do? Look it up?
Yeah, I mean,
You
like
write anything on the. I can put it.
religious-
You can put it on Wikipedia. They're not going to delete it if you
True.
just create other sourcing articles for it. Which again, this is a lot of work at this point, and I would never go to these lengths. But maybe at some point in the future, if you hear me start talking about religion, I have gone to these lengths.
Just know that I don't want to
see-
hang out with you.
I would say you're religious about pod.
Yeah. I'm really just about the show. Yeah.
Podding's my
And
Yeah.
potting's worse.
Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, my number 2 pick is really the same as yours, Griffin. It's just in a different way. I put down astrology. And this is one where like I just want to be as unbearable as possible so that nobody ever asks me to hang out again. Just be like, I don't know, I'm a Taurus and the moon is waxing. And
And the moon might be waxing. That's fair.
right. So like if someone said that to me and they were being serious about like they can't hang out because I'd be like, stop right there. Just like don't talk to me ever again.
This is same, but different from Griffin. You're right. Like it's not the same, and you don't do as much work about making. Well, you're making stuff up, but you're not making it up yourself.
Someone already made it up for you.
You're
Yeah.
copying someone else's notes.
Yeah,
If someone used that excuse with me, I would A, be okay with them canceling plans, and I would B, never want to make future plans with them again. Like that's fine.
and if you're seriously like, if someone's using this as a serious excuse, like they truly believe in it and follow it, yada yada, they want you to ask questions, and you're not going to.
It's true.
I won't get
Yeah.
satisfaction.
If we have any astrology girls who are like super into all of that stuff and just like want to tell us about it, jump in the comment section and make sure you like this video and tell us your thoughts on how you feel about Andrew's list so far. Same,
Also,
but
guess-
different from my.
Yeah, also guess what sign we are. Well, I'll give you 12 guesses for me.
I'll give you 10.
I already said mine,
alright.
so don't guess mine.
My number one is very specific to one day. Well, I guess for some people it's more than one day. And it's less for like overarching plans, other than like if someone's asking me to do something on this day, I'll say, I can't. I'm doing something for the bride. So you just have to be at a wedding, your own wedding, someone else's wedding. But on that day,
Yeah.
I should do something. You say, I'm busy doing blank for the bride.
That's very specific, but at my own wedding, I would just say it's for the bride because nobody really cares about the groom. Come on, it's not about me. It's about the bride. I would just say, yeah, no, the bride really wants to put on watch anime or whatever. It's for the bride. No one's going to ask questions.
You watch a lot of anime at your wedding?
Well, I couldn't think of a better excuse. So I was going to say the game. And I was like, well, that's probably worse. And then, yeah, I couldn't think of a better excuse, but yeah.
Just got to excuse yourself from a conversation. You got to go do something for the bride. Go get a drink for the bride. Bride always wants a drink, like because she's putting him down. It's getting taken away. She needs a new one. That was used heavily throughout my wedding, and I'm sure it was used throughout yours, Moda.
I used it at your wedding.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did too. Not just as an excuse, but also like was told to do something for it.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes it's
also to be fair, you guys were groomsmen. That makes sense that you were doing things for the bride, but it's a good one. I mean, you could be a random parent at the wedding. You could be a younger person. Really, anybody could use this. But the closer you are, I think, connected to the wedding party or to the bride, the easier of an excuse this is going to be. Or people are going to start thinking you're a really, really good, really thoughtful guy. And I don't know if that's necessarily the
True.
image that any of us are cultivating.
Yeah, that's
True.
true.
And then you hope no one's going to be like, oh, maybe he'll be nice to me. It's like, no, it's really just for it's not even, I'm not even being nice.
It's for the one person.
Yeah,
It's for the bride. Don't turn it into something it's not. It's
not
for the
about
bride. Just like the wedding.
All right, my number one pick has been used before. Diarrhea. I can't hang out. Diarrhea. Nobody will want to know anything further. And I'm not saying that you give them more graphic details than you already did by you just saying diarrhea. As someone has a notoriously horrible stomach, that's the incredibly believable excuse for me. I have multiple instances where I have not been able to make it to a bathroom in public. That'll be for a different podcast, like top 5 places I've shit my pants in public. We'll do a short form. That'll be fine.
That's going to be just you, though, right? Like, we don't all
really
have to start shitting ourselves in public.
No, I'm saying like it'll be like just for me. It'll be like my own.
Cool, no doubt.
If you just say diarrhea, nobody's going to ask any follow-up questions. I can promise you that.
I have no follow-up questions. This is a melding of Thomas is shitting his pants and Andrew and his weird medical maladies. Great.
I mean, I'm glad you specified that you're going more my way than Andrew's of let me send you pictures.
Yeah, no, it's just the one word. I can't diarrhea, and then like that, you don't need to say anything more.
Yeah, in fact, yell it out loud while you're like a foot away from someone. Just be like diarrhea.
If you yell that, is that better or worse than yelling fire in a crowded theater? Like that, to me, worse. I'm going to say that's worse.
Nobody will ask you to do anything after those plans.
I can't think of many things. Like if I ask someone to do something and they say diarrhea, I can't think of many things that wouldn't get him out of. So it's obviously a good pick.
Yeah, right.
We all love diarrhea.
I don't want that to be the story of this pod. The show, damn it, it's doing so well.
Odd guy.
Pod guy. That sounds like a weird alien race that Elon Musk started. I don't want to be a pod guy. All right, my number one, and I'll tell you right now, sure I'm going to get pushback on this one because it is not necessarily an excuse as more of an ideal, and I understand that may not fit the topic. Gaslight. You said we had plans. No, we did not. We made dinner reservations. You made that up. We were supposed to go to the game together. I don't even like sports. You're being crazy. It doesn't matter that you're wrong and that they know you're wrong. It just matters that you drive the point far enough home that they think they're wrong and they start doubting themselves. And then you don't have plans anymore.
Listen here, asshole. You started this podcast by making a big deal about me understanding the topic like I'm some kind of idiot. And you're going to come here with the number one that you are saying is not an excuse?
To be clear, you are some kind of an idiot. That's not something that I'm making up. That's fact. People have watched and listened to this show enough to know that just is what it is.
We're not even recording.
I see a thing in the corner that says we are, so I'd be really upset if we weren't.
We're not recording.
You're gaslighting me. Got it. That's really good. I really got defensive really quickly. That's why it works. You just proved my point. Gaslighting works. And also, if you believe in it, it's not real.
I feel like the beauty of not really defining a topic is like mine were like excuses that are legit excuses that like, okay, I'm not going to ruin a friendship over this. I feel like you went the opposite way where it's like, I want to make this excuse. I also never want to hang out with this person again, which I'm not saying one way's right, one way's wrong. It's just, two different pieces.
I think one way is wrong. I think one way is verifiably wrong, and it's my way.
Yeah, I will say if someone used this excuse on me, the end of that conversation, I would have already deleted their number. Like if you're like, we didn't make any plans, I'd be like, well, just scroll up in the conversation. It's probably the previous text.
Only if it doesn't work, though, because if it does work, then you doubt everything you've ever believed, and they can, kind of mold you as they see fit. And then we're getting into a different list of how you would take advantage of your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to make it a sex thing.
I'm not gonna pretend like this isn't effective. It's a tough look for our guy Griff. The guy trying to not be a douchebag by saying pod, but his gaslighting is his number one move. I mean,
you muted yourself.
You pushed your own button.
Good old gaslighting.
you hear me? This is like the equivalent of like someone asked me to do something, so I just punch him right in the face. You're just an ass.
Yeah, my number one is I commit assault on whoever asks me to do things. Yeah, no.
Right.
Look, I knew this was going to be a controversial one. It honestly was the last one that I arrived at.
Number one.
I put it number
Okay.
one. I was like, yeah, because this can kind of be anything, and it's also we did say best, and this also has an argument for worst. I will fully readily admit that because it is a little abusery, and I'm not saying that this is one that I do. I'm just saying if you want to cancel plans, gaslighting somebody about the plans is a very clear path to success.
Yeah, but it's not a best or worst excuse because it's not an excuse. It's an action.
Anything could be
Also
part of
true.
the excuse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
sure. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
If I say I shit my pants,
I have
that's an
concepts of a
excuse.
plan.
If I look at you and purposely shit my pants, that's an action.
Yeah, I just fear that, like,
You look at me and shit your pants, then it's some weird fetish shit for you.
Yeah.
It's something else. It's not an excuse to cancel plans. It's an excuse to run through our entire friendship and wonder what I missed.
It feels like
Just like
this pick, like, yeah,
dumb.
whatever. Enough has been said about it, but like, it just seems like not only are we the four white guys with a podcast, but now we're like the Andrew Tate guys.
We're
Not-
moving
not
towards the all right. That's the only way to make money in potting, as they
Is
say.
anyone else hoping that Andrew is about to gaslight us into thinking number one pick is gaslighting and he was the first one to do it? Because I'm kind of hoping that.
No, my number one is the best excuse for canceling plans is the economy. You could just I can't go because of the economy. And, you know, what does that mean? Does it mean you're unemployed? Does it mean eggs are too expensive? We don't know. But, like, you know, don't come at me for my financials. I don't come at me for yours.
That's a really good pick. No one's going to ask you any. No one's going to be like, "Does this person not make any money? Did this person lose their job?" Because like nobody wants to talk about money and how much like other people's financial situation. Yeah, it's a great pick.
Would you say the economy, and would you capitalize the T and the E?
Yeah, I would. I would.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good
You fucking
economy or a
would.
bad economy. People are famous for doing that. Be like, in this economy,
You would understand what quotes in the air mean.
I just feel like if someone said this to me, yeah, I wouldn't continue a conversation because either they know way more than me about the economy and I don't want to look like an idiot, or they seem like an idiot and I don't want to talk to them. So I actually think this is a very good pick.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Either you're going to look like a Dumbo or you think they are a Dumbo. Either way, you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, either way, you're not winning.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Honestly, I feel like if somebody canceled plans or said they couldn't do something because of the economy, I would immediately stress about the economy as it relates to me, and I would then start canceling plans with other people. This is a snowball rolling downhill, turning into an avalanche. Plans might not be a thing because of the
Yeah.
economy.
It has
Plans are out.
It has a little bit of gaslighting in it because it's sort of like people are like, wait, should I be going in this economy?
That's it.
In this economy,
The economy is gaslighting plans in general.
and this
That
is
you-
really the number one pick.
Yeah,
This is a really good one. Yeah,
I'm glad you like it, 'cause I'm, like,
It's
dying
good
off
for the
of it.
wrong reasons. This is good for the right reasons.
Yeah, it just gets people thinking like, should I go out in this economy? Are we irresponsible for making plans?
Can I go to dinner? Is a movie too much money?
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right,
All right.
really good stuff. Let's do our recaps.
All right. Number 5, I don't want, I don't do. Number 4, I've shit my pants. Number 3, I'm pregnant. 2, my dog has been left home alone for too long. And 1, I can't do that. I'm doing blank for the bride.
It's good stuff. My number 5, too tired. Number 4, there's a sports game on of your favorite team. Number 3, I want to stay home and masturbate. Number 2, anything dog related. Number 1, diarrhea.
Your masturbate one gets me. Number 5, I have to record a podcast. Number 4, my parents are going through a divorce. Number 3, I'm really struggling with insert whatever here. I prefer the war. Number 2, make up a fake religion. And number 1, gaslight.
And my number 5 is I'm waiting for the maintenance guy to arrive. And my number 4 is to give graphic details of the illness that you're going through. Number 3 is that you're jet lagged. Number 2 is to make up a dumb astrology excuse. And number 1 is the economy.
Good stuff.
Goddamn economy. All right. Really, all in all, We were talking about this a little bit before the show. When we first introduced this topic, the reason we did this is because we all average out our scores on things to give a little behind the scenes. And this is one that had a really high score, and we all thought it was going to be a good one. Once we selected it, however, I remember thinking to myself, oh, this is actually not a very good topic. I have nothing for this. This is going to be stupid and not fun. And then as I was actually coming up with a list, I had a really good time coming up with a list. And your lists across the board, you guys, good list. I enjoyed all those. I think we all took this in a very different direction from each other. Modai's very personal to him. Mine, concepts of a plan. Andrew, this might be one where Andrew has a winning list. Although I will say a lot of yours kind of crossed over with mine. And then Thomas, you were pretty mean to a lot of my picks, so you can go fuck yourself. I'm not going to say anything nice about yours, you little bitch.
That's fair. Your parents are going through a divorce. I get it.
Many people have been aware of that.
You're not in a good headspace, Griffin.
Yeah, I just
I have to record a podcast.
You're struggling with the war on the economy, so I get it.
Before we get out of here, anything else? You guys, any honorable mentions you want to hit right now? Or you want to, I don't have any honorable mentions. I will say that. I had a tight 5, and it was a pretty broad tight 5.
Can somebody define the economy for me? And what a fiscal cliff is?
Did you Google the economy? There's no way you just came up with the terms fiscal cliff off the top of your head.
It's like the only words I know.
All right, yeah, fiscal and cliff. Yeah, that I've always known that about you. Yeah, I have no honorable mentions. If you guys have any, we'll hit them.
But that was
the only real one was just I don't feel like it, but I felt like I could do better than that. So that'll be my honorable mention.
I mean, I've thought about making my list all like homework excuses, like dog ate my homework, grandma died, grandpa died, but
different grandparents died.
Yeah.
That's funny. I go ahead, Andrew.
The old grandparents excuse gets you 4 free days off work.
Unless your grandparents divorced and remarried, in which case 6 days off work, 8 days off work.
Could be even more. I mean,
yeah.
Multiple divorces.
Again, 1 and 2 marriages. Yeah, Tom, I also almost went in that direction. And then I was like, why am I contextualizing this as how to get out of homework assignments? 32, almost 33 years old. And I haven't done a homework assignment in the better part of a decade and a half.
Sometimes the pod feels like homework. I get it, man.
That sucks. That's bad to hear. Oh, I hope you're gaslighting me.
So
But my favorite.
I was trying to get my dog to jump up, and then I was going to make an excuse about I had to leave because my dog, but she was too excited.
She's too excited. You got to go.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, dog's too excited.
All right. Well, on that note, if you're watching, appreciate you being here and watching. If you're listening, thank you for doing so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your preferred podcast platform is. If you have not already shared this pod with a friend or a family member or your significant other or somebody you work with or a classmate who ate your homework, please do so. We love seeing numbers tick up on a screen that validate us, and we'd love more people to listen to this. That's it. We will see you sooner rather than later. We've recorded 2 episodes in a week. I feel good about that. See you next time.